Mountain, Island, Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Switchblade, Stab Wound, Red Mage, Blue Mage.
Hi, I'm Kenny, and I play blue.
Hi, I'm Amber, and I play red.
And this is Blue Mage, Red Mage.
It's Red Mage, Blue Mage.
I'm thinking about changing it.
No, we already got the Twitter.
We've got the Twitter. Tell me that Blue-Red MTG is not taken. I'm sure it's not.
No, it probably is. I already took it. Sorry. Let me get on. 1 second. I'm going to make it.
Okay.
Sure
No. Pause the recording. I'm going to open up Twitter.
No. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. It's already taken.
I don't believe you. You know, blue is the deceptive color. I don't know what you're up to right now.
I don't think I'm being deceptive at all, actually.
You're right. You're pretty bad at it, honestly.
Terrible.
So this is our new podcast, and we've been so excited to get started on it. And now, talking to you before we started recording, you're all nervous and shy, and you don't. You said you don't like magic anymore.
Don't call it. Yeah, I quit magic, actually. No, don't call me out. Don't let the people know. God.
But it's been good leading into this. Well, good and bad, because we talk regularly, and we've been having a really hard time lately not talking about magic.
Right.
Because we've been wanting to save it for the podcast.
And it sucks because it's like, yeah, I'm ramping up now into my Magic the Gathering, like, second coming, essentially.
Yes, the return.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that, though. We'll get into our respective histories with Magic the Gathering. We should probably talk about what this show is and what we want it to be.
Yeah, Kenny, tell me.
Let's start with, I beg your pardon?
Nothing?
Don't you ever talk over me.
God, sorry.
So let's talk about who we are first. Amber, who are you?
God. I'm Amber. I'm part of Geekspective.
Sure.
It's like, I feel like I'm on show and tell right now. That's all you need to know.
Okay. You've got lots of other shows on the network.
Yes, it's true. I have my own AP Shapeshift where I'm running a Ryutama campaign, and then I'm on a show called Tales from Mox Fairy, and then there's another talk show that I'm on called Bringing Owls to Athens, and also I guest on Party Like It's the Greatest Year in Film as well.
And somehow, here we are making another podcast.
It's all I know how to do now.
I've done a little podcasting before, but nothing this dedicated, I don't feel. I do mostly D&D stuff online. We can talk about that stuff later, but I've played Magic for a long time. I like talking about Magic, and when we were trying to come up with our idea, we were just both getting big into Magic, like you were saying, like a second coming. So it felt like it was the right time.
Do you think it's like because of Magic the Gathering Arena that a lot of people are starting to feel like the second coming of like resurgence?
Yeah, definitely. That's been a huge thing for them. I was thinking about that earlier today, actually, because in my time playing Magic, I've played since high school. It's felt like there have been several like renaissances.
Sure.
I don't know what the plural would be, but
Renaissance.
Where it's felt like the game blew up again and became big, and everybody remembered it. Everybody came back into it, and now it's happening again. It's interesting, like the things that push it forward into that. I also think a big thing that's bringing it back in a big way is the game has come out of like a really dark time in standard play, which we can also talk about here in a bit. But I agree, definitely a new era of Magic the Gathering. All right, so that's us. What is this show exactly? I mean, I'm interested. I was just describing this to a friend of mine recently, what our show is. I'm curious, how would you describe what this show is?
Well, we talk about magic. Well, like for me specifically, I'm going to see it as a learning tool. So we'll talk about our histories later, but like I said, I'm coming back into it. So I don't know what's been happening in the last 8 years. Sure. I don't, so I'm seeing it more as a learning tool for me, but also sharing my experiences along the way.
That's a good description of it.
That's from me. That's from my perspective.
Right. I view it as, the way I wound up describing it, I described it as a Magic the Gathering variety show, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Where we came up with all these different ridiculous concepts of things to talk about. But your description gives rise, I think, to the other part of the show, which is a little bit more serious, because while we do like to joke around about it a lot and have fun talking about it, like we're also, I think, both fairly serious about the game too.
Mm-hmm. Like I want to be good at it.
Yeah, you want to destroy the opposition.
Crush, burn down.
Yeah. You want to leave
desolate.
People inside a crater.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I want to dominate the board
Gross.
and just destroy all in my path, but like in a smarter, better way than you do.
Right.
Leave them in an intellectual
Boring,
crater.
like boring and tedious kind of way.
Like in a way that shows that you're smart and not just a mindless lightning bolt machine.
See, the smart way is just not even like pay attention to the board at all and go right for the jugular.
Yeah, that is very smart. Okay, so I think before we actually get into the show itself, the last thing I wanted to talk about as far as what the show is what people can expect in the future. So we'll show a little bit of that today when we get into our first segment. But it's going to be different segments, different topics, and eventually our plan is to start doing actual play against each other and even co-oping with each other, if you can imagine such a thing.
I can't.
I think that's going to be fun. My dream is to have you piloting and me looking over your shoulder and just sort of shaking my head.
I don't like that at all.
Wow, that play, Amber, I don't know about that.
I shut up, sit down. Let me handle this.
I mean, a prediction going forward into things. I think you're going to crush me going forward into the games that we play against each other.
Why? Why do you think that?
Well, I mean, the times we've played against each other. Actually, you know what? Let's save it because this will get us into our Magic the Gathering histories,
yes, okay.
and the way that we like to play. Should we just get into that right now?
Yeah, we might as well.
We keep wanting to get into it.
Yeah, we just let it go.
Yeah. So let's start with you, Amber.
Okay.
When did you start playing Magic the Gathering?
I started playing Magic the Gathering. I want to say summer of 2007. I just graduated high school, and my partner at the time, his friends were getting really into Magic, and so they started coming over to my town, which is a college town, and they started doing Friday Night Magic at our local game shop. And at first, I hated it because it was a thing where like all of a sudden, like my personality, which is hilarious, it contradicts my play style. Is that I need to be prepared for things, and all of a sudden we're doing this new hobby and activity, and I'm like, I don't get this. There's a ton of people. I have social anxiety. I don't want to do this. And I was kind of being drug along into this.
And also, like, Magic, as far as like being unsure of what's going on, is like the worst game to play.
Right. It's like you try to do something, and it's like, oh no, that's not how that works, or you can't do that, or
I'm not going to let you do that.
You didn't untap at the right time, and it's like, God damn it. Like, okay, great. So
I untap when I want to.
Right. Now's a good time. But yeah, so I kind of had like this weird apprehension around it at first. And then once everybody started to get like, hey, let's come over to our house this weekend and let's build decks together. And that when I had this kind of more one-on-one experience with Magic, when it was just like in a basement with friends, I really like caught on to it. Like, I was like, oh, I love this game. That's when it clicked with me. And actually, Josh, who is also responsible for me getting into Dungeons and Dragons and everything else, was really one of the first people who took the time. You think my partner would have taken the time to explain stuff to me, but Josh did.
Well, we did say former partner.
Yes, former partner.
Right.
And
so Josh was your mentor going into Magic, huh?
He made me feel more comfortable playing because I
see.
Yeah. So like, and he likes explaining stuff. So it was like, oh, okay, this person is more than willing to lend a hand, essentially.
Right.
And good at explaining it too.
Okay. So he was more like, it was less mentor role and more just like, I'm here alongside you in this journey into Magic the Gathering. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So like that first experience that you played, or those early experiences, what kind of Magic were you playing, and what kind of decks were you playing?
Well, so when I got into Magic, it was during Lorwyn, so Planeswalkers were just like becoming a thing.
Right.
And once I found out like the goal of the game was to just reduce your like the health or deck somebody, I was like, well, who cares about monsters? Who cares about fighting on the battlefield when you have sorceries and instants that go right for like the target's hit points and stuff, or the player's hit points.
So in your head, you were like, why would I mess with creatures? Creatures can get in fights and die.
Yeah.
Whereas like a firebolt can never miss, essentially.
Yes. And because I was playing with a lot of other like on my level, we're getting into it. It was a really good strategy for me because nobody else really knew how to deal with that yet.
Right.
Because like I'll give it to you. Blue is a little bit more like advanced in some ways.
It's true. It does take a fair amount more intelligence and patience to deal with blue. Go on.
Anyway, that's the first and last. That's the only time you're gonna get that. So enjoy it while you can.
I'm editing, so I'm going to get it every episode.
Oh my god, no, you're not, because I will never say it again.
That's what I'm saying. I can drop it in. I can cut it and splice it in where I want.
You're just going to start like cutting out audio clips of me saying blue is great. Oh shit, I gave it to you.
Oh,
without even having to do it. God damn it.
And then now you're going to say it like 10 times in a row.
God, no. So anyway,
but yes, continue.
So that's what I liked.
Blue is more sophisticated.
Shut up. It was more like so the Magic I liked playing back then is still the same today. Like I like being as direct as possible. Like I don't want to fuss around.
And you've branched out from Red, obviously, but that philosophy still dictates how you play, basically.
Yes. And I loved Goblin Giant. Like I did Red White back then, where it was like I had giants that could throw goblins and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that was like your first stint in Magic.
Yes.
Now I should talk about my first stint in Magic. It's interesting. I didn't realize that I should have put it together, but I didn't realize that we started playing at basically the same time. So I started playing my senior year of high school.
Oh wow, yeah.
So this would have been spring of 2006.
Okay.
I had a study hall last period of the day, and there were these two guys, Jacob and Andrew, and they played Magic the Gathering every study hall, every single day. And I was looking at the cards, and I was just fascinated. I had no idea what was going on, did not understand the mechanics of the game. Mm-hmm. I was just entranced by some of the cards. And actually, I should look these up. Because there are two cards I remember standing out to me so strongly. Internet, looking up.
That's internet getting the information for you. You're welcome.
Enormous Baloth, I remember.
Okay.
It is 6 colorless and a green for a 7/7 beast with no other text.
That's
just a vanilla
boring.
7/7.
It's
but
so
I thought it was the cool
mana for that.
It's so bad. You have to remember too. A, I didn't know what this game was or how it worked. But B, like this is still back in the day when creatures weren't very good.
Right.
Like, and so that was really impressive to me. And I liked its flavor text, even though now I read it and I'm like, this is so corny.
What is it?
Its flavor text is, its diet consists of fruits, plants, small woodland animals, large woodland animals, woodlands, fruit groves, fruit farmers, and small cities.
Wow.
I really like the sequence of small woodland animals, large woodland animals, woodlands.
That's pretty good.
It just silly. Keeps scaling. And the other one you would actually like, it's called Fodder Cannon. And it is 4 colorless mana for an artifact, 4 tap, sacrifice a creature. Fodder Cannon deals 4 damage to target creature.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Except I would like it better if it was target player.
Yes, obviously. But it also had cheesy but great flavor text. It's step 1, find your cousin. Step 2, get your cousin in the cannon. Step 3, find another cousin.
Wow.
Yes, but you would want that to go to the face, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing those cards and it just really captured my imagination. I liked it a lot, even though I didn't really understand it. And I just sort of slowly over the course, I never asked them how to play. Mm-hmm. Just over the course of a semester, I just kind of osmosised how to play Magic the Gathering as best I could. And then I had to look up some rules afterwards. But basically, I asked for Christmas some starter decks and got them. Me and my brother got them, and we played against each other. And green was my first love. I feel like a lot of players start in red and green because they have nice, straightforward strategies, you know?
Yeah.
Red, you're going to the face. Green, you're just dropping the biggest
monsters,
creatures you can possibly cast. But those were my early experiences. And in the early days, I think everybody plays the same format, which is basically no format. You're just getting your hands on whatever cards you can get and just making this monstrosity out of it.
Uh-huh.
So we did that. And then Andrew, the person I mentioned earlier, he was like the guy he was playing blue before anybody was playing blue. And he had decks that like had an actual idea behind them and a purpose and a meaning. Mm-hmm. And now here's my concession to you, red player. I hated blue when I was first playing.
Yeah.
And it's probably for the same reason that you hate blue, which is like counterspells.
Yeah.
I hated counterspells so goddamn much.
It's so funny to me because it's just like you go against somebody who's doing that and it's like, I just don't want to play with you. Like, I can't even do anything. There's no point in me playing this game with you.
Right. Because it's basically the other player saying you don't get to play this game.
Right, exactly.
It's not like when the other player is dropping also huge creatures and you're tussling and you're trying to figure out what's going on. It's just like, I want to play this card. No, you can't play this card.
Right.
We hated it. We played a lot of big multiplayer brawl games, and that was kind of not brawl the format, that didn't exist, but massive multiplayer games. And that was kind of a nice balancing factor because we would all just instantly team up on Andrew and smash him into the dust and then be like, okay, now we can have a nice, reasonable game with the rest of us now that he's out.
And so for me, like, we had a lot of like the basement, like playing with each other and looking at cards and building decks and trying decks out on each other. But a lot of my Magic was done doing drafting. So I was a huge booster draft person when I started playing for like 2 years, I think. It was like almost every Friday night we went to Friday Night Magic and did a booster draft. And also,
DCI.
yes, I remember when we were first talking about this podcast, I was going through, I think, maybe some old stuff in drawers. Like, oh, I found my old DCI card or whatever.
And I was like, what?
Because I actually played enough to get the like nice like plastic one. That was
not a bullshit paper one that I always got.
Yeah, nope. I had the nice plastic card because I played enough to be ranked.
I never was responsible enough to get the plastic one. They had to print the paper one off for me every single time, and I would just lose it in the wash in the meantime.
Oh man, no, because it was such a part of our like our Magic group that I always had to have it. It was in my wallet. But yeah, so I did lots of drafting and would do tournaments, usually mostly local or at like conventions, Gen Con and stuff.
During Lorwyn block, right?
During Lorwyn, and what was the 10 core set was out? I can't remember.
10.
Yeah, I think it was out. And yeah, so and then into Morning Tide and whatever I can't remember. God, I can't remember what came after Morning Tide.
No, it must have been 10th edition.
Yes, 10th. Sorry. Yes, 10th edition.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's gonna be a lot of that because I just I had like a 2-year like bomb of Magic and then it just
and then it's like you slipped into a Magic coma.
Right, because I started playing D&D.
Right. And now you've woken up years later and it's like, what's happened?
Oh my god. What's a saga?
Yeah, exactly.
What is this?
Why is this card split?
Why are there 2 options on this card?
Yeah, exactly.
There's or
so
the
many
new
cards
mechanics
like
where I'm like, what the fuck is Menace? Or like whatever other things are out there they're doing. I'm like, I only know like Trample.
Or transform cards.
Oh yeah, that was a new one too. I was like, transform? What the fuck is this?
There's another Magic card on the back.
What? Blowing my goddamn mind.
So I didn't realize that. Do you blame D&D as being the reason you got out of Magic?
No, I think it was a combination of a lot of things. It was like D&D became our new group hobby, and then it was like a money thing because then I went into college, and so when we did booster, I couldn't afford to do booster drafts like twice a month anymore, and like just college, getting a job, and not having a lot of free time, and my free time being taken up by Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or whatever we were playing.
I got you.
Yep.
I guess there's a similar reason why I stopped playing because I never got to a point where it's like I'm sick of Magic. It's more just like I had that high school group that I played with. I went to college. The group of friends that I made starting in college didn't play Magic. So I'm pretty sure I brought my cards with me, like, because you never know when you're gonna get a chance to play.
Just always in your back pocket.
No, they were just in my room.
No, I like to imagine you just carrying around a deck of cards in your pocket.
I have it in a necklace just around my neck at all times. Exactly. A deck box. No, I played a couple times my freshman year. I remember I went to, there was an actual like college student group that played Magic the Gathering, and I was like, I could be down for this. And I went there and they did booster drafts exclusively. And I was just like, same thing you said. I'm a poor college student. I can't be doing this.
Right.
And then I stopped playing Magic for a few years, basically. I also played some Friday night stuff. I went to some big constructed tournaments as well, but only a couple times because it's just not really my scene. I'd rather do like what you're talking about. Like I'd rather just be in a room with my friends playing a big brawl, something casual. I got out of it just because I just didn't have any opportunities. I didn't have a group of people to play with. And eventually I got back into it because I reconnected with one of my high school friends. And I would go and visit him for a weekend and hang out with him, made friends with his friends, and that became a group. We did a couple booster drafts. We got their friends into Magic basically. And so it was getting to relive that experience of we're building these crappy casual decks and just smashing them against each other, which was fun. And then for me, getting back into it, it slowly morphed into the way that I like to play Magic now, which is cube drafting. I own a cube, which I'm obsessed with. I just got Shocklands in today, which I'm so excited about.
I know I was getting snaps of that.
And Commander, whenever I can play that. Those are the two main ways I play Magic anymore. But I really I think another thing that reinvigorated my love of Magic was just Magic content. Like, watching YouTube channels of people playing Magic and now Twitch streaming, it's so nice to be able to get that fix when I wasn't able to get it before, like a different venue for getting Magic the Gathering.
Well, and then I know when I was like, oh, wait, when did we first play? Because you and I have not played very much together. Like I've done a cube draft with some of your friends. And other than that, we really haven't. Well, we did one time at a convention, Commander at a convention with some friends.
Geekspective folks.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember Magic. And then you're just like, you should play Magic. I'm like, oh no.
And you were resisting. You're like, no, I can't.
I can't because my mind immediately went back, like the way that I played Magic was booster drafts. And so I'm like, oh,
I can't afford this.
I just don't want to pay so much money. But then Magic the Gathering Arena is in beta, and I was like, ooh, well, maybe this would be a good way. And then I ended up buying some cards.
Well, that was the thing. Like right after you made like basically an impassioned speech to me about why you couldn't get back into Magic, a week later, apropos of nothing, you were like, I bought Magic cards. And you're sending me pictures of opening Magic cards.
I got whoopsie-daisies. Whoopsie-doozles. I did it.
You went from adamantly saying, I don't want to play Magic, I can't play Magic, to wanting to start a Magic the Gathering podcast with me over the course of like 3 weeks.
No, it was like 3 months.
No, it was not.
It was like 3 months, not 3 weeks. Get your time right. Jeez.
Well, maybe the podcast, but you definitely went from I'm not going to play Magic to I've bought cards and I plan to buy more.
Yes, in less than, well, because then there was that super sweet GameStop deal for for Christmas where it was like buy one like board game thing, trading card thing, and get the other one for half off or free. It was like buy one get one. And so you could buy a fat pack and get the next one for free. It was fucking ridiculous. So I was
extra fat pack.
Yeah. So it was like I spent $60 and got $120 worth of shit. So what a good time for me to get back into Magic.
You can't say no to that.
No, I did not.
I said yes to that.
I slammed down my wallet and said, "Take all of my money
and give me cardboard, please."
Yes.
Okay, so I guess my other question is going to be, and you kind of answered this one, is like what led you into red?
Basically, the whole mentality of me is like, once I found out this is the object of the game, my thing is like, how do I get there quick, fast, as fast as possible? And red is kind of built that, like, has that mentality, cheap cost, you're doing a lot of over the board, direct damage. I love that. And so I kind of led there. But what's funny is that's where the start came from. I've played pure red, but honestly, red black or red white is my favorite. Sure. And it gets into like the whole control. Because I tend to build, because you've seen it when I did the one cube draft. I started to build aggro control, where the control isn't, you can't do, and this is again another philosophy. It's not like I'm preventing you from casting spells by like just counterspelling. It's you don't have mana because I'm destroying all your lands, so you can't cast anything because you have nothing to cast with.
How is that better?
Because it's again just pure. It's pure in my mind. Don't laugh at me like that. It is.
It's pure and wholesome.
It's no. I was gonna say it's pure violence is what I wanted to say. Okay. Where it's just like no, but no in the most rough way.
You
don't have any money. I know. I'm not. But I'm sure people understand that same sentiment.
You like it in the sense that what makes it okay for you, it seems like, is destruction is involved. You're being a proactive player. You're destroying things. You're not waiting for your opponent to do something.
Exactly. I'm definitely a proactive and not reactive. Just going to get to it right before. I don't want you to cast an instant. I don't want you to cast any spells whatsoever. So instead of having like these other instances,
to play this game with
me. Get good. That's all. Figure out a way to make me stop destroying your lands, which would be blues territory.
See, this is what makes me think. This is me coming to you and saying we're not so different, you and I, because one of my favorite cards, maybe my favorite card to cast, especially in the cube, is Armageddon.
Yeah.
Which is 3 and a white for a sorcery, destroy all lands.
Yep. It's disgusting.
And I do it so often that the group that I cube draft with, they have Troy is the one who always does this. Every single time I cast, he says, Armageddon, sick of seeing that card.
That's so bad.
It is horrible. But that's how he delivers it too. He's like, Armageddon, sick of just having my lands destroyed. But they hate seeing it, and you're the same. You and I are the same. We're both destroying lands to control the game.
Okay.
You're a blue mage.
No, I'm not. I'm red.
As far as like what led me to blue, I think I've always liked the same type of deck at its heart, even way back in those green decks. My desire is to get a board state such that I can never be touched or harmed. And I remember building green decks back in the day. The card that stands out to me is from Mirrodin, and it was called Trolls of Tel Jalad. It was 7 mana, a green card, and they had an ability, which was 1 and a green, to regenerate any green creature. And so my whole game plan at the time in this shitty deck was revolved around landing that guy and then using it to regenerate any creature that you would want to destroy, and always having the mana up to do that. And just being in this board state where it's like, nothing you can do can harm me now. And that evolved further. I remember one of my favorite decks I ever made was a white equipment deck. Let me describe this combo. It's so convoluted. You would hate this.
Oh, God. As soon as you said combo, I'm like sighing.
Just rubbing your temples. Here's Lord. The combo. This is beautiful. All right.
All right.
You have a creature, Leonin Abunas, which is a 4 mana white creature. It gives your artifacts hexproof. They can't be targeted.
Yes.
Then you equip it with Shield of Kaldra, which makes Shield of Kaldra is indestructible, and it makes the creature it equips indestructible.
Oh my God.
Then you equip it with Pariah Shield. Pariah Shield makes it so that any damage you would take gets dealt to the creature instead.
So then,
So now
you're just soaking
now you've
it
got
up. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got an indestructible creature that is taking all the damage for you. The equipment attached to it can't be targeted, and it itself is indestructible now. Then you equip Whisper Silk Cloak onto it, which makes it so that the Abunus can't be targeted either.
Oh my
so now
God.
the creature can't be targeted, the artifacts can't be targeted, and everything's indestructible. But like that deck exemplified for me that philosophy of I want to reach a state where I just have this board that cannot be affected and I can just recline and feel good.
It's so
I
boring.
think it comes from my desire to like have stability in my life, you know? And that I think that just evolved from there into like I want the same thing, but then I was looking into like what's a more effective way of doing this? Like what's the optimal way of going for this? And
Right.
a blue-based controlling deck is kind of the optimal way, which is why I like Armageddon. Like nothing feels better than when you're in a superior board position and you cast Armageddon, and now your opponents just all of their hope is drained away. There's nothing they can do now. That's what I like. I like people being hopeless when they play against me.
See, I'm like the opposite. Where I like people like have a chance, and then I just take it from them. So like you on the onset are like, no, this isn't gonna happen. I'm like, maybe you could do a good job. And then, so I'm actually worse than you.
Yeah, you want to make them suffer.
Oh, that was gonna get a good cackle out of me right there. Oh boy.
See, I'm trying to think of like what's a good example. Like you're like a classic villain who's like, I just delight in your torment. Whereas I am like
Ozymandias or whatever his name is in Watchmen.
Yeah, exactly. I do this, but I take no pleasure in this. You know?
My God, you do though. You're disgusting.
Okay, I do. I definitely do. I cackle as well occasionally. Okay, so that brings us to our first official segment.
Pick a card. You son of a bitch.
Holy shit!
Yeah, baby. It's time to pick a card.
You son of a bitch!
And today, I thought we'd just get this out of the way. Amber, what's your favorite red card? Kenny, what's your favorite blue card? So let's just do it.
Okay.
What is your favorite red card? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this because I imagine this would be difficult.
Yes. So the first red card that I would have said was my favorite was Lava Axe. Because it was like the first card I ever encountered where I was like, oh my God.
And what is Lava Axe?
Yeah, let me get
for those that don't know.
Let me pull it up. Boop, bop, 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 boop, bop. Lava Axe is a sorcery, and it's 4 colorless, 1 red. And it deals 5 damage to target player or planeswalker. So what I liked about it was the aspect of, again, going over the battlefield right to the hit points. But because planeswalkers were a new threat, it was like nice to have this other option as well.
Right.
The only downside is that it's for a red card, it's super expensive, but it's 5 fucking damage. So
yeah, 25% of your opponent's life total.
Yeah, exactly. But then, like, as I'm playing it more and more and I'm learning more and more, my favorite became Lightning Bolt, obviously, because it's 1 red mana and it's an instant and it deals 3 damage to target creature or player.
Which, as far as like a direct damage spell, nothing beats that for efficiency.
Yes, it's just so chef kiss. That's what I put in my notes.
Yummy.
Yummy. So yeah, so Lightning Bolt.
I can get behind Bolt, especially because like control decks are very happy to play Lightning Bolt.
Yep.
For the same exact reason. It's just hyper efficient.
And a target creature or player. Oh,
right.
So good.
Right. Is it actually, with the new rules, is it any target?
I don't know. I was looking at
Any target.
Dang.
It can do
Planeswalker.
Creature. It can do player. It can do Planeswalker. Yeah.
Nice.
You really can't beat it. I remember there was an article about what would be the ideal deck if there was no restriction on how many cards you could play. And the ideal deck wound up being something like X mountains and Y lightning bolts.
Yes.
Just an endless deck of lightning bolts is the
Beautiful.
best thing you can do in the game, basically.
Yep. Yep. All right.
What's your favorite blue card?
My favorite blue card, I think you will hate more than anything. I was thinking about it, and like, there's all kinds of amazing things. Like, Lightning Bolt comes from a cycle in Alpha, the original cards, where it was 1 mana of each color, and it gave you 3 of something. And very famously, it's one of the most unbalanced cycles in Magic the Gathering. Because Lightning Bolt's very good, obviously, but it's in the same cycle as Healing Salve, which like prevents 3 damage. It's really horrible. It's also in the same cycle as Ancestral Recall, which is the blue one, which is one of the Power 9. 1 blue mana, draw 3 cards. And so that I considered that, but I feel like it's a really boring answer. And B, it doesn't even, like, I've cast it in cube. I don't have it in my cube, but I've played it in other cubes. And it just feels dirty. It just feels like, it'd be like a card that was like 1 mana and did 20 damage to your opponent. It's like, sure, it's great, but it's not satisfying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the card I went with is one from my history, and it was one of the I think it might be the very first blue card that I fell in love with, and it's Confiscate.
I don't like the sound of it.
Confiscate is 4 and 2 blue for an enchantment aura. It enchants a permanent. You control enchanted permanent.
Of course.
I liked the idea of a control deck where it was like a literal control deck. You control things. And we can talk to friends of mine from back in the day about this deck. I built a deck where every single card in it was mono blue. Every single card could take control of an opponent's card. And you just played against your opponent and you just took control of everything they had. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It embodies everything I like. You know, seizing control of the board. Every control target opponent's card kind of deal is like a 2-for-1, basically, where you get rid of one of their creatures and now you have a creature. Or you get rid of their artifact and now you have an artifact. And there's just something so deliciously satisfying about beating someone to death with their own creatures.
You're disgusting. I take it back. I'm not the evil one. You're the evil one.
You know what? I'm not going to argue with that. I am evil. And I like evil characters, which we're going to be talking about in our next episode, where we start talking about some of the lore of Magic the Gathering that's going on right now in the game.
There's lore?
Yeah, it's not just cards that can attack each other. There's an actual story, if you can believe that.
Stories?
Yeah, we're going to tell stories next time.
Oh my god.
In the meantime, this is Red Mage Blue Mage. You can find us at RedBlueMTG on Twitter. You can also email us at redmagebluemage@geekspective.com. We also each have our own Twitter accounts. If you are a true masochist, you can find me at Volfmyr, VOLFMYR.
And if you like looking at cute round animals, you can follow me at Rocket Orca, which is he figured it out.
It's Rocket and Orca.
Yeah,
the
like,
words.
it's pretty easy. It's like really easy and straightforward, whereas like Volfmyr is convoluted and just wow.
It is. It takes a little bit more thought to get to mine, but that makes sense. Because it takes a little bit more thought to play blue. Anyway, that's all the time we have. That's end of turn for us. In the meantime, I'll be representing Counterspell. Say it.
Say it, Amber. Say it.
And I've got the bolt.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Say it.